Genesis chapter 31. And he hears the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken all that our father has. Indeed, from that which our father has, he has made all this glory. And Jacob sees the face of Laban, and behold, it is not with him as before. And Yahweh says to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your family, and I am with you. And Jacob sends and calls for Rachel and for Leah to the field to his flock, and says to them, I am beholding your father's face, that it is not toward me as before. And the God of my father has been with me, and you have known that with all my power I have served your father. And your father has played on me, and has changed my hire 10 times. And God has not permitted him to do evil with me. If he says thus, the speckled are your hire, then all the flock bore speckled ones. And if he says thus, the striped are your hire, then all the flock bore striped. And God takes away the substance of your father, and gives it to me. And it comes to pass at the time of the flock conceiving, that I lift up my eyes and see in a dream, and behold, the male goats, which are going up on the flock, are striped, speckled, and spotted. And the messenger of God says to me in the dream, Jacob. And I say, Here I am. And he says, Now lift up your eyes, and see that all the male goats which are going up on the flock are striped, speckled, and spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you have anointed a standing pillar, where you have vowed a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this land, and return to the land of your birth. And Rachel answers Leah also, and says to him, Have we yet a portion and inheritance in the house of our father? Have we not been reckoned strangers to him? For he has sold us, and he also utterly consumes our money. For all the wealth which God has taken away from our father, it is ours and our children's. And now all that God has said to you, do. And Jacob arises and lifts up his sons and his wives on the camels, and leads all his livestock and all his substance which he has acquired, the livestock of his getting which he has acquired in Padan-Aram, to go to his father Isaac, to the land of Canaan. And Laban has gone to shear his flock, and Rachel steals the teraphim which her father has. And Jacob deceives the heart of Laban the Aramean, because he has not declared to him that he is fleeing. And he flees, he and all that he has, and rises and passes over the river, and sets his face toward the Mount of Gilead. And it is told to Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob has fled. And he takes his brothers with him, and pursues after him a journey of 7 days, and overtakes him in the Mount of Gilead. And God comes to Laban the Aramean in a dream of the night, and says to him, Take heed to yourself, lest you speak with Jacob from good to evil. And Laban overtakes Jacob, and Jacob has fixed his tent in the mountain, and Laban with his brothers have fixed theirs in the Mount of Gilead. And Laban says to Jacob, What have you done that you deceive my heart, and lead away my daughters as captives of the sword? Why have you hidden yourself to flee and deceived me, and have not declared to me, and I send you away with joy and with songs, with tambourine and with harp, and have not permitted me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Now you have acted foolishly in doing so. My hand is to God to do evil with you. But the God of your father last night has spoken to me, saying, Take heed to yourself from speaking with Jacob from good to evil. And now you have certainly gone, because you have been very desirous for the house of your father. Why have you stolen my gods? And Jacob answers and says to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Lest you violently take away your daughters from me. With whomsoever you find your gods, he must not live. Before our brothers, discern for yourself what is with me, and take to yourself. And Jacob has not known that Rachel has stolen them. And Laban goes into the tent of Jacob, and into the tent of Leah, and into the tent of the 2 handmaidens, and has not found. And he goes out from the tent of Leah, and goes into the tent of Rachel. And Rachel has taken the teraphim, and puts them in the furniture of the camel, and sits on them. And Laban feels all the tent, and has not found. And she says to her father, Let it not be displeasing in the eyes of my lord, that I am not able to rise at your presence, for the way of women is on me. And he searches, and has not found the teraphim. And it is displeasing to Jacob, and he strives with Laban, and Jacob answers and says to Laban, What is my transgression, what my sin, that you have burned after me? For you have felt all my vessels. What have you found of all the vessels of your house? Set here before my brothers and your brothers, and they decide between us both. These 20 years I am with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, and the rams of your flock I have not eaten. The torn I have not brought to you, I repay it, from my hand you seek it. I have been deceived by day, and I have been deceived by night. I have been thus. Drought has consumed me in the day, and frost by night, and my sleep wanders from my eyes. This is to me 20 years in your house. I have served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you change my hire 10 times. Unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been for me, surely now you had sent me away empty. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and reproves last night. And Laban answers and says to Jacob, The daughters are my daughters, and the sons my sons, and the flock my flock. And all that you are seeing is mine. And to my daughters, what do I to these today, or to their sons whom they have borne? And now come, let us make a covenant, I and you, and it has been for a witness between me and you. And Jacob takes a stone and lifts it up for a standing pillar. And Jacob says to his brothers, Gather stones. And they take stones and make a heap. And they eat there on the heap. And Laban calls it Jegar-Sahadutha. And Jacob has called it Gilead. And Laban says, This heap is a witness between me and you today. Therefore has he called its name Gilead. Mizpah also, for he said, Yahweh watches between me and you, for we are hidden from one another. If you afflict my daughters, or take wives beside my daughters, there is no man with us. See, God is witness between me and you. And Laban says to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold the standing pillar which I have cast between me and you. This heap is witness, and the standing pillar is witness, that I do not pass over this heap to you, and that you do not pass over this heap and this standing pillar to me for evil. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor judges between us, the God of their father. And Jacob swears by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob sacrifices a sacrifice on the mountain, and calls to his brothers to eat bread. And they eat bread and lodge on the mountain. And Laban rises early in the morning, and kisses his sons and his daughters, and blesses them. And Laban goes on, and turns back to his place.